Sure. This is a movie about following your dreams no matter what the cost. And you're going to suffer while you're following your dreams, but that's okay. That's proper.
I don't know if that's proper, but I like to
I
think
mean,
of it more as like it's persevere through the hard times. I
nah,
think that's more. I think
the
that's what
granny
they're going
says
for.
you're going to suffer and you had better appreciate that suffering.
That is also, I think, a fair read of this movie. This movie being A Star Is Born, the first one.
The first one. I gotta say, I like until I saw it on your list, I didn't even realize that there was one before the Judy Garland one. So like here I am.
I think a lot of people don't. I think this movie gets kind of forgotten. I think
Yeah.
this is definitely, weirdly enough, even though it's the first one, I think it is the least well known of the four film versions of this
Yeah,
story.
for sure.
Yeah, this one's an interesting film. It's got a lot of character actors that we've gotten to know,
Yeah,
actors and other character actors that we've seen in previous films.
including Frederick March, who plays Norman Maine, who's the male lead of the movie. I didn't really like. I had never heard of Frederick March before doing this show, and I am now realizing that he is like one of the more like prolific and famous actors of the 1930s.
Hmm.
I just think it's funny that we started with one of his first movies, which is The Wild Party, which is the Clara Bow silent two strip Technicolor movie, which I think is only like the second movie he's even billed in. And so for like this whole time I've been like, oh yeah, the guy from The Wild Party, and it's like no, it's like that's like his least well known thing. It is like
I think
this like very famous actor.
The Wild Party's black and white.
Was it? I thought that was a for whatever reason I had it in my head that was a early two strip Technicolor. But see, the memory, it goes so quickly.
I mean, in this movie, he's kind of playing halfway between his character in Merrily We Go to Hell and his fun-loving
Yeah,
character in Design for Living. He's like he's goofy and having a good time, but also a drunk mess.
yeah, right. It doesn't quite. I think they don't go quite as hard on like how much of a like destructive alcoholic he is in this movie as in Merrily We Go to Hell. Comes close, maybe. I mean, they're definitely leaning into like this is bad. This is a problem.
Yeah.
But
Also, like compared to like, I mean, I actually haven't seen the two middle Stars Born, the Judy Garland and the Barbara Streisand ones. But like, I feel like compared to say because I was hard to not compare it to the Lady Gaga one.
yeah,
Just like because it's like all the beats are the same, right? It seems tame in as far as like showing it. Like they
right.
imply a
Yeah,
lot, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is just because of like the style of that time where things were not quite as like in your face as far as that is concerned. But maybe that's just my perception. You guys have a lot more experience.
There was quite a heavy moment at the end of this movie with relating to his
Yes,
alcoholism.
yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. They don't. I guess they don't. They don't dwell on it as much. It's kind of like they show a little bit, and then like you get the picture. That's enough, and then they move on.
It is. I feel like the movie will bring it up and then kind of let you forget about it a bit. So then when it comes up again, you're like, oh shit,
Right.
I forgot about this. Oh yeah, this is a bad thing.
I thought it was well told. I felt like
Yeah.
the pacing of that was actually good. It's just like struck me as different. It has that more like direct, like just to the point kind of style that I feel like is different from like certain ways of doing things now, where things are kind of like wrung out for more effect. I feel like sometimes.
Yeah, the storytelling in this movie is pretty direct. I think that sums
Yeah,
it up pretty. Like there's not a lot of this movie lets you know exactly how you're supposed to feel in every scene. It's
for sure.
very upfront with sort of like this is what's going on.
I mean, with the grandma, it's like didactic too.
Yeah.
It's like this is
Yeah,
what you should think. This is how you should
Yeah,
believe.
like speaking direct, especially like the opening section of this movie with
yeah, yeah.
Esther sort of like in the small, what is it, North Dakota town. I think the movie is at its clunkiest then when it's
Yeah,
sort of like,
both grandma scenes, honestly. I felt like the one at the end, not like
yeah,
that having it at all was clunky, but that it felt like it was like it stood out about like how much it was belaboring one point. Because I feel
Yeah.
like that wasn't much the case in between.
Yeah. So this is the first Star is Born movie that I have seen. I have not seen any of the other 3
Okay.
remakes of this. Chris, have you seen any of the other versions?
I've also only seen the Lady Gaga one.
Okay. See, I haven't even seen that one. It's funny because like I haven't seen the other ones, but I can tell like what some of the scenes are. There's like the classic Star is Born scenes, like getting drunk at an award show, saying I just wanted to get another look at you. There's like, although the line is different in this one. So it's funny, just like through cultural osmosis, I'm like, yep, here's all the Star is Born stuff happening.
Right.
Making sloppy steaks. I immediately clocked that, and I was like, I have to make a sloppy steaks joke on the show.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Just dumping water on a steak.
Let me clean off this steak here.
I think she
Yeah.
says disinfect it, and she just water on it. I was like, there's
That'll
no
work.
thing going on.
Yeah.
If anything, like that bacteria is going to grow.
Yeah. 1930s, they didn't have a great idea of germ theory back then,
Yeah.
I guess.
Germs were still new.
Yeah. The plot, I guess, is the classic showbiz story. I like the way that Star is Born framed it, where it's like we're seeing a star being born simultaneously to a star sort of losing his luster and popularity. Like the sort of up and down meeting in the middle sort of structure works very well.
Well, it's powerful that fact that they're like in relation with each other, and it's not just two things happening parallel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I was struck while watching it again because I mean, again, having seen the other one, it's not like the story was new, but knowing in my back of my mind, even having not seen it, that Barbara Streisand made one, it's interesting like how there's parallels with Funny Girl as far as like that structure is of like the stars, one going up and then the other kind of going down, in the sense of like how you're saying it's like this is the first Stars Born, and they made 3 remakes. But that story also has existed in other forms, and there is kind of like a kind of tropishness to it.
The Judy Garland one is also about Hollywood, right? And not.
I think
music?
it might be a singer for the other ones.
Oh, really? So this is the only one that's about a movie star as opposed to a music star.
I believe so.
Because I think that the general kind of showbiz boom and bust sort of like career high and low thing is like a very, even in 1937, is like a very old kind of plot framework, right? Like there was that movie from I think the 1910s about like moving to New Jersey to be a movie star, like before Hollywood was even a thing.
I mean, I think that the difference though is that like those movies are about an individual being corrupted by Hollywood, right? Like it's about an individual rise and fall rather than this like juxtaposed thing.
Yeah. Which I think is what kind of sets this one apart, and why I think this one kind of stands the test of time more than a lot of those other ones, is because that plot structure works so well and keeps you really, I don't know, it's a very compelling way to frame a story, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. I think it creates some like interesting dynamics between the two characters and like subtleties in their interactions with each other that you wouldn't get if this was all just happening to one person.
Right. They kind of like the contrasts and they set each other off. You can kind of see both characters better in relation to the other. I mean, why? I mean, it's not only just that it was. I don't think necessarily that it was remade 3 times just because people want to see another Star is Born movie, like for the IP. It was. I think it was these very famous people. Like, I mean, it's hard to find bigger stars than Judy Garland, Barbara Streisand, and Lady Gaga, and they clearly attracted to the material.
Hey, Janet Gaynor too.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the remakes, but yes.
Poor Janet Gaynor, like, started off this thing, and like Janet Gaynor, the first person ever in history to win the Best Actress Oscar, which she won for 3 movies, because it was like a collective like 1927 through 29, I think, and it was like just give her an Oscar for like 4 movies that she did over that period of time. Yeah, it's funny how this movie is like easily the least well known of all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a bit of, because I think that the only other Janet Gaynor movie that I had seen was Sunrise, which is one of the movies that she won Best Actress for, which is a silent movie, and I think she's very good in. But I think this, as an acting showcase, this movie is, I think, does a really good job, because she gets all of the dramatic shit to do, but also like gets to do impressions of other contemporary Hollywood actors and things. Like there's
I was
just
so into it.
right, I was like, I could watch this forever, because it's like I'm not used to seeing that in I'm not used to seeing people doing impressions of other actors from like this time period, I guess.
This movie has like so much of other movies in it, you know?
Yeah,
Uh
including there's
include a
include
poster for Maytime.
yeah, which
Oh wait, I
Yeah.
didn't catch that. Wait, when was that?
when
I didn't-
she first shows up in Hollywood and she's going to the Chinese theater, one of the posters outside the theater is for Maytime.
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
Um, yeah,
I mean,
which is
no,
funny because I had never heard of Maytime until you brought it up, and then now it's like, oh yeah, it's in A Star Is Born also. Like this was
Yeah.
and it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars and things too. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it was a big contemporary hit.
For sure.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, another movie that we're watching.
I have a lot more to say about Maytime when we get there, but yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I didn't notice that.
I do like the when she first shows up to Hollywood, you know, with stars in her eyes, and she gets an apartment, and the apartment listing says no cowboys. Which I was like, was that a big problem in 1930s Hollywood? That
Yeah,
like
what does that mean?
cowboys were just showing up out of the desert, like, I need an apartment.
I wonder if it was like a figurative thing, like don't be a cowboy, you know? But I'm not sure.
No cowboy shit allowed.
One of the things that I thought was kind of strange about the Maytime poster is that like Maytime is made by MGM. This is like Selznick and United Artists. Like you'd think that in a modern day movie, if there's a movie poster in the background of a movie, you know it's
Right.
going to be a movie from the same like studio.
Or it'll be a fake movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the poster that was there on the day that they went to the Chinese theater. I have to imagine that's what it was. They weren't like renting out the outside of the theater. They weren't like putting up their own posters. They're like, no, like it's down the street. Let's go there and shoot the scene.
I mean, but they did put like, you know, a fake concrete footprint and signature in there.
Sure, yeah.
So there was an amount of staginess happening.
I think it would be funny to like go there and there is a Norman Maine name in the thing. I think that'd be funny.
When they
doubt
first
that
introduced
exists.
Norman Maine, I was like, wait, like Norman Maine, like have I heard of him? Like what's he in? Because
I was
there
going to
was
ask you guys if all the other names at the beginning of the movie were real people. Because
yes.
I think other than Norman Maine, they're all real actors. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that they were. I just I'm not as versed in that
Yeah.
time. Not recognize a lot of them, but
And I mean, Frederick March who plays Norman Maine was like he was a pretty big deal. So it was like he was a recognizable movie star at this point for sure. A bit of stunt casting there, I guess, to kind of like, you know who this is, right? Like,
yeah, be able to, portray that like big movie star, and to feel that to fall more. So it's not just like some random guy getting drunk.
There's so many movies about kind of like old Hollywood or like 1930s, 40s Hollywood that like it's interesting to see it being portrayed at the time of like what's a movie that is being made about the industry at the time, kind of saying about it, and how are they showing it. And it is like there's a lot of romanticism, but there is a lot of like, I kind of like how much this movie is like it's a job. Like you show up to work and you get a paycheck. I don't know, like it's kind of trying to strip away some of the romanticism from it also, of just like, oh, you want to audition for a movie, get in line, we're backed up by like a year.
I love that sign that they had when she first gets to the studio, where it was like, "Do you understand figures?"
Yeah. See, that's such an insane sign. Like, there's a sign at Central Casting or whatever that's just like, remember, like, you're nobody and no one cares. Like, yes, you're here to follow your dreams, but crush them right now. Like,
Yeah.
what a weird thing to have
I mean, hey,
in
if
your
that gets
hiring
rid if that
office.
gets rid of like 70% of your people, then you have enough people that you can actually hire after that. So,
They're like, I'll just
um,
go back to North Dakota.
right? And I that probably happens. There are probably people that move to Los Angeles to be like, I'm gonna work in showbiz, and are just like get discouraged immediately because someone's like, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But her granny told her, stick to it, even when your husband is shot, and move on the next day and press forward.
There's an early bit where they're shooting her screen test. Like she gets a job through. She meets Norman Maine at a house party, and they bond over smashing dishes and generally being kind of irreverent. Frederick March gets to show off his drunk act, as he is well known for at this point. And she gets a screen test to be in the pictures, and there's a very bad assistant camera person who does not do soft sticks when doing the slate. I had to point that out because I'm like, that guy, he's bad at his job. I mean, it's to show like how kind of like how much of an ingenue she is, that it's like they slate in front of her and it like scares her, and I'm like, it is literally the assistant camera's job not to scare people when doing that. So I feel like the showbiz stuff is a lot of act 1. Act 2 is kind of more of a relationship drama. The showbiz stuff
Yeah.
is kind of more of a backdrop to that by that
It
point.
concerns, yeah, just like their honeymoon, their relationship, and that kind of thing. It's a lot of awkward interactions between the two of them, as she is kind of. It doesn't deal with the showbiz stuff so much, but you can see that she's getting more popular and he is getting less popular.
Yeah.
And it's sort of grating on the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's like he is sort of he's a very prideful movie star in that like he likes people recognizing him when he's like, oh, I can't go out there. People will recognize me too much. And then he goes out and like no one knows who he is. He's like forgotten immediately once he's like not making movies anymore. And that is very hurtful to him. It really a lot of his like self image is tied up in that thing of like, people know me, people love me.
For sure.
And when that starts to go away, that is like, you see how much of like his own self-worth is tied up in that.
I thought that the role of the publicist guy was interesting because it kind of showed that whole dynamic also, where like he was making a lot of people mad, but people put up with him because he was popular. And then when he wasn't popular, he realized all the people who like were surrounding him actually hated his guts.
That guy,
Right.
the publicity guy, who's also the publicity guy in
Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, basically playing the same character. I love that actor. I forget his name.
His name's Lionel Stander.
Lionel Stander is the best. I think I said it on the Mr. Deeds episode. Like, he's the most 1930s actor possible. Like, this guy could only exist in the 1930s. But I love how like mean he is in this movie. Like, at first it's like, oh, he's like the
Snarky.
right, he's just kind of a snarky guy, and then like as the movie goes on, they just double down. Like, this guy is a huge asshole.
Yeah.
To the point where, after spoilers, Norman Maine walks into the ocean and dies. It like cuts to him like getting a haircut, and he's like, "Hey, I wish I could give an Academy Award to the Pacific Ocean." It's like, it's the first drink of water he had in 3 months. And he's just like cracking jokes about this guy drowning. They like give him like a whole scene just for him to like make a bunch of mean jokes about this guy dying. Just as like a wrap up to be like, hey, remember this asshole? Lionel Stander, great character actor. I want him to be in every movie we watch from now on.
Yeah.
And always playing the same character, because he's 2 for 2.
I mean, I think that we could talk about the color. This being the first live action Technicolor film that we have watched for the show. And,
yeah, not the first one.
Sorry,
but,
the first 3-strip Technicolor. It's not the first 3-strip Technicolor, but it's the first one we're watching for the show. It's probably, one of the early big ones. I would say.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
credited as the first box office success in full.
Yeah. The color's a little weird in this movie. There are aspects of this movie that are really getting at like the poppy saturated colors of like that classic era of three strip Technicolor. And so there are like some really like vibrant blues and greens, but there are parts there's a lot of it that is very saturated but kind of like low contrast. So it
Mm.
has this sort of weird look to it that I think that like later Technicolor stuff like Wizard of Oz, for example, like it's very saturated and high contrast and bright. And
Mhm.
so like the colors really sing. Whereas this one, it's like sometimes they do, sometimes it looks a little muddy, I think.
It often looks muddy. I think a lot of this has to do with the preservation because this movie's the version of this movie that is like available to watch on streaming that I assume is the sort of like is the same on the if you buy it on a disc is also like very grainy and has like film problems in it. Like there's parts where you can see the three colors separating,
Yeah.
which I don't know if that's just like because it was like three layers printed together and like glued into a single strip of film, if it's just like it's old and they're like coming apart and they don't line up perfectly anymore. I have to imagine this movie looked a lot better if you were watching it like opening weekend.
I mean, it's possible, but it's also possible that because this is an early three strip Technicolor movie, they just
Yeah.
kind of like donked it up a little bit, you know?
Very true. Yeah. It might have just been the process. Like they didn't it wasn't quite as streamlined and it was a little jankier.
Yeah. A lot of like bleeding around the edges from like colors not being aligned quite right.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think just the contrast is like a real issue through the whole movie where it just looks muddy a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Although and also like Alan, you were saying how like this movie doesn't really showcase the color very much. There's no scenes of like, oh my god, look at the color in the scene.
Right. Like it doesn't necessarily strike me as a movie that like needed to be in color is
Yeah.
what it felt. It was
Which
like not that it was worse because it was in color, but it
yeah.
was like if it was in black and white, I don't think it would have changed my opinion of the movie at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there is something kind of refreshing about that too, that it isn't like leaning into it too much. It doesn't
Yeah.
have a bunch of scenes that are just like, and now they go look at the cherry blossoms because we have to.
The one scene that I think that thinking back that I think was more effective than it really could have been, at least the way that they shot it,
Hmm.
if it was black and white, is the scene where he walked into the ocean. Because that scene, like I don't know how they could have done like that sunset the way it looked. That really
Right.
kind of gave this kind of air, like this is also like the sunset of his life. There was a lot of like little stuff you
Yeah.
could read in that moment that was really
Sunsets are
beautiful
something
actually.
that yeah, that don't
Yeah,
read quite the same in black and white.
for
It's
sure.
true.
That was a really nice moment, but it wasn't like a million colors. It was just like enough color for
Yeah.
that moment. The fact that it wasn't color at all added to that.
Yeah.
But besides that, I can't think of any specific moments that I was like, "Ooh, the colors there were like
Hmm.
so cool," you know?
That is a good example of like storytelling through color of like I mean hopefully we've all seen sunsets.
Right.
We know, and it's like sunsets evoke an emotion,
Yeah.
right? Like
For sure.
just inherently. And so yeah, I think that is definitely an example of like that probably wouldn't hit as hard in black and white. When I was trying to like look this movie up to watch it, I was like getting annoyed. I'm like, where's I keep seeing the like color, like where's the black and white version? I'm like, oh no, this is a Technicolor movie. It's supposed to be in color. Because I see all these like screenshots of like muddy colors, and I'm like, oh, this is the colorized version or whatever. Because that
Right.
happens a lot too. I'm like, you look some up on Amazon, and you have to like scroll through the menus to find like It's a Wonderful Life in black and white.
For sure.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah, there's like separate entries, and so it's like the one that's just It's a Wonderful Life is the colorized one, and then it's like It's a Wonderful Life black and white version. I'm like, no, that's the movie.
Oh, come on. Good lord.
Amazon.
I mean, speaking of the color again, like the way that the color was kind of crappy in this movie was evocative of those like disgusting AI colorization things that they have
It's not
for silent
nearly that
movies.
bad.
It's not nearly that bad, but it's like it shared some similar tendencies of like kind of pulsing at points
Right.
and
Yeah.
and like things kind of bleeding from one color to the next in weird ways. Yeah, it looks colorized even though it isn't. One quick note, Alan, you were saying that you were saving some notable lines from this movie.
I had two specific ones that I wrote down.
I wonder if they're the same ones that I wrote down.
Did I say mine? So the two that I wrote down were nothing like rum to take away the milk flavor. I don't know why that tickled me. And then tastes change like eyebrows. There were a lot of other good ones, but those two I was just like, I don't know why I love those so much.
It's funny that they bring up the eyebrows thing because like women's eyebrows in the 1930s were bizarre. Like there was a weird trend, I feel like, of like women's eyebrows being like incredibly like, I don't know, heightened. There's like a lot of weird eyebrow shit going on in the 1930s where people were had very particular eyebrow taste in terms of like popular celebrities and things. I don't know what was going on there.
There's a whole eyebrow scene in this movie.
Yeah.
And they like mention it. So, it's good.
I mean, there were the aforementioned very mean things that Lippy says at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
There's also fairly early on when Norman is helping Esther put away all the dishes, and it's like his girlfriend or current wife or someone walks in. It's like, Norman, what are you doing? It's like, oh, it's my old mania for putting away dishes has returned.
That was good.
It's such a like throwaway line, but it's like one of the funniest things in the whole movie to me, anyway. I think it is a great example of like Frederick March humor, like the way that I think in comedies he tends to play funny characters that don't necessarily like announce themselves as funny. He's good at like dry humor like that.
Yeah.
He also orders a scotch and soda. It's like they put in like a massive amount of scotch. It's like an entire like high glass full of scotch and then like a drip of soda at the end. He's like, perfect. Right away you're like, oh man, this guy he's got a bit of an issue with this alcohol thing, huh?
Leave the bottle.
Yeah.
I just also like think it's funny that they're like, Esther Victoria Blodgett. That's not a good Hollywood name. We need something sleek and sexy. And it's like Vicky Lester.
Yeah. No.
No offense to any Vicky Lesters out there, but I don't know. It doesn't really seem like a very appealing name.
I mean, say that it's not that much of an improvement.
Yeah, it sounds more like a movie star name than Esther Blodgett does, but it is yeah, that press agent guy isn't doing his job particularly well.
No.
He's got to spend more time thinking of good movie star names and less time thinking of mean insults for people he doesn't like.
And then the one thing that I wanted to call attention to was how Norman has a little cigarette grabber machine that
I also wrote that down. The little penguin cigarette dispenser.
Yeah, it's like a little bird that comes and picks up the cigarette and then gives it to him, and he takes it out of the bird's mouth.
See, there is like, I do not condone smoking cigarettes or nicotine products of any type. I think it's bad and people shouldn't do it. I think the like cigarette culture of the early 20th century is something that is like cigarette holders and like novelty dispensers and things. I wish that there was a way to like repurpose those, or just like, there's so many
for
just like
weed is what people
I was gonna say,
do.
I guess so, yeah. But it's like, why don't you see like little penguin dispenser things like that anymore?
Because we used to live in a society, Glenn.
Right? I don't know. It's just like I feel like I see a lot of things like that in movies from this era, and I'm like, dang it, I want a little penguin guy that
gives me cigarettes.
It's like a Pez dispenser, but for unhealthy
for
things.
death sticks.
Yeah.
As if Pez were healthy.
I mean, healthier than cigarettes.